true wealth is how long you can sustain your lifestyle without income.
We had money problems.
Money problems.
These millionaires who save and don't spend, they can do that for years.
Well, you know how those millionaires are.
And people who spent more money that were interviewed reported having more fear. Fear of the government, fear of your wife or husband, fear of losing it all.
You have no balance sheet, no income or cash flow forecast.
Your salary is not the essential feature. Your frugality is.
I want to make money.
What?
The things that we invest in are crazy.
I saw Eva selling her watch back to Cartier for cash.
So there's a lot more millionaires than I thought. He that goes a-borrowing goes a-sorrowing.
Who wants to be a millionaire?
What do you think of when you think of a millionaire? This or this? This or this? This or this? This or this? Well, this whole idea that millionaires have expensive clothing, expensive cars, you got to spend money to make money, live in rich neighborhoods, go to illustrious private schools, travel to Cabo San Lucas, go to Ibiza, you know, drink Cravassier or whatever the cool kids are drinking now that P. Diddy's vodka's out. As it turns out, according to the best-selling book, The Millionaire Next Door, millionaires actually have a lot more in common with regular folks who balance their budgets and save and research deals and live minimally. Written by two social scientists, Thomas Stanley, who's been studying the rich since the 70s. So there's a lot more millionaires than I thought. Mostly first generation. So yeah, if you're a lady looking for a millionaire, go for it, just so you know they're 50.
Rich guys are old.
And they're frugal. And they're married. So if you like those things, if you like a good Birkenstock, if there's nothing you love more than seeing a freshly crinkled Costco shirt come out of the bag and onto your man's hairy back with $1 million in your bank, then this video is for you. At the time of the writing of the book, they're dealing with a lot of figures from the 90s, so take that with a grain of salt. Their yearly income is a lot lower than you would expect. The average millionaire had $2 million in the bank and had accrued that income on a salary of $70,000 a year. So, I mean, $70,000 is not easy to get, but it's also not, I'll never be a millionaire. So I updated the stats to see it's more like 86K. That's like a plumber. That's cop. That's pretty much all accountants. You don't have to be a doctor or a lawyer or, do 10 years of schooling to get 86K. And by the way, that's the average, which meant that the brokest millionaires probably made somewhere closer to 50K, probably somewhere closer to the average. What this book is really good at showing is how the strategy is the same wherever you are. And whether you've got 50,000 or 250,000, your salary is not the essential feature. Your frugality is. All these people do is adopt the practice of whatever I earn, I'm going to put somewhere between 15% and a third away every month. And I'm going to invest it. Sometimes it's in the stock market. On average, millionaires invest 30% of their wealth into the stock market. So they have other investments too. But those are things that are compounding over time with just that measly salary to begin with. Like, let's say you want to make 60K. That's $5,000 a month. If you can put aside $1,000, you could realistically be a millionaire by just doing that for a decade or two. There's several compound interest calculators. So you can just say, okay, I'm going to put this much money in a month. I'm expecting about a 10% return on interest given the averages of the stock exchange over the last 100 years. I'm not only going to just invest in the S&P, but I may invest in things that return even more. If you made that tough decision and just said, I'm going to live in a slightly cheaper place, I'm going to drive a slightly older car, I'm going to get really good at coupons for a few years, and then go from there. Maybe my salary will increase so I can splurge a little bit more. Especially if you're a remote worker, you live in a cheap area and you put a third aside. In 15 years, you'll be a millionaire. But if I'm telling you that in order to make $1 million, you might have to go through a period of frugality, just look at this money growing that you're not spending. Some of you might be like, what's the point of that? I think that's because we correlate spending with wealth. The joys of wealth go way beyond spending. Spending, unless it's on an experience, is pretty short-lived. Anybody who's purchased a new phone, car, knows that within a week or two, the kind of new feeling is gone and the joy you get is diminished. And people who spent more money that were interviewed reported having more fear. The millionaires didn't have fear. Part of putting that money away, it's like a tree trunk. You're putting resources into your trunk, and it allows your limbs to grow out further in each direction, knowing that if we have a dry period or if we have a torrential rain, I've got what we need inside. That changes your personality, and it's harder to see than someone who's wearing a nice big Bathing Apes hoodie or Supreme whatever foot. That is not as fun as it looks. Meanwhile, living frugally, and let me be clear, these millionaires have a house, sometimes two, car, sometimes two, within 3 to 5 years old. They just bought the car that was the best value from a person they know through work who will give them a deal because they also bring them clients in business. In a network of people that they know and love and are mutually taken care of, still traveling, possibly doing more fun things and interesting things, spending more time with family. They're not slaves to their work in order to keep it up in appearance. But this is starting to give us a distinction here, and the book lays it out with 2 helpful acronyms: underachievers of wealth and prodigious overspenders, P-O-D. I'm going to be real. These authors are not writers, and this book has some flaws, and it's way too long, and that's why I made this video. We didn't need 250 pages to say this. Not at all. PAW versus UAW. PAWs are prodigious accumulators of wealth. UAWs are under accumulators of wealth. Well, there's a term for someone who spends a lot of money but doesn't make a lot of money. Big hat, no cattle. I like that. A $1,000 jacket is not going to give you the same confidence as having 3 years of income in the bank and the freedom to do absolutely anything you want will give you. That's a nicer jacket. What's exciting to me about this book is the idea that I might be able to tell the average person right in the middle, hey, with that salary, in 15 to 20 years, you could be a millionaire. Here's how. Just do the math with me. Okay, well, how do I put aside that amount each month? I spend everything I make. Well, that's where the budgeting begins and the minimalism. I wish I could tell some stories, but just watching people buy homes in nice areas, all the hidden costs. You don't think of the HOA. You don't think of the property tax. You don't think of the fact that the building has to replace something, so they charge each tenant a percentage of it. The interest can change on your house loan. You don't think of your job disappearing, and now all of a sudden you have a certain amount of income you have to spend every month, so you go into further debt. What are other examples? What's your experience like when you meet somebody with a lot of flashy clothes and cars and money? Sometimes it's a little bit like distancing. If you drive up in that expensive car and let's say, you've got employees and they see that. Maybe you're a real estate agent, you're selling something, and they look at your car and they go, wow, you're really keeping a lot of money for yourself. Your employees look at that and go, wow, okay. So you're the one making the money, huh? So these aren't high status, pleasant experiences. These are complicated, complex distancing experiences that were extremely expensive. So just keep that in mind. If you're a millionaire who lives in a middle-class neighborhood, has a nice 3-year-old car and drives all the kids in the neighborhood around in it, to go to soccer practice, everybody loves you. Like, love. They don't feel threatened by you. You're part of their family, their community, and they don't even know you're a millionaire. We did a fashion video, never released, where we went to Melrose the pink wall where everybody takes a picture. And I went to some of, Paul Siegel, like these famous places on Melrose.
Where's my white collarless shirt from Fred Siegel?
It's very expensive. And we went inside and everything was just flannels and jeans. But then I'd look at the price tag, it'd be like $1,000 jeans. So this 95-pound man boy comes up to us who works there, says, "Hey, can we help you?" We're like secretly filming. We're not going to buy anything. And I look at him. I'm like, "Oh, are you wearing the gear?" He's like, "Yeah, we get to wear the clothes when we work." So this 95-pound guy was wearing like $3,000, $5,000 worth of clothing, and it just looked like anything. It just looked like he was wearing a flannel and jeans. And before, and I used to complain about this, they used to have logos. I was like, oh, that's kind of stupid. You're like advertising. But at least the logo let people know, like, this is an expensive shirt. This guy had no logo. So the only way for other people to know that he has like nice, expensive clothing that's hard to acquire is for him to tell them. And that's super cringe. Paul Siegel, I worked there. Probably like $6,000 I spent on this outfit. So yeah, that's pretty cool that I did that, huh? Like, how are you going to bring that up? How are you going to get any benefit from that status symbol? So you've just thrown money away. And meanwhile, because I do overhead presses, so my shoulders have a nice girth, and I go into a Buffalo Exchange, I get 5 compliments that day because it has watermelons on it. And I spent $9 on it. I get compliments from millionaires on my watermelon shirt. Anyway, so there's a few examples. I mean, I really think sometimes that we're nuts because the things that we invest in are crazy. No one notices what you wear. Are you generally clean? That's a big part of it. So let's just do a little lightning round about what millionaires are like, directly from the book. Number 1, most of Americans' millionaires are first generation. Number 2, most millionaires aren't millionaires until their 50s. Sorry, ladies. Number 3, most millionaires buy suits off the rack and affordable shoes. Number 4, I forgot the number. They have frugal partners. Frugal wife, frugal husband. Number 5, they're happier and not motivated by fear. Number 6, they invest less than 30% in the stock market. Number 7, they live frugally and are happy with houses under $300K at the time of writing. One distinction they mention that's quite interesting is professions versus being self-employed. Most millionaires are self-employed or business owners. Turns out being self-employed or business owner is higher risk, higher reward. The average business owner makes more money than the average professional. However, maybe 7 out of 10 of those business owners won't make any money. So the 3 out of 10 are making not only well above average, they're making all the money that the other 7 out of the 10 would have made. Millionaires have found that being self-employed gives you a lot of distinct advantages. 1, there's no cap on how much you can earn. Your effort could earn new clients, new sales, limitlessly. You could hire. You could use the other people's effort to increase sales. So there's no ceiling, there's no cap. And that's actually has a psychological benefit too. So much of our time from schooling on to our first jobs that we didn't really want has been spent pretending to work. Just doing something so you get what you need and nobody bothers you. But that does damage to your soul. I remember being a busser at one of my first jobs, and we never had anything to do. So when a table would leave, we'd race to it just so we could clean it off and put the forks out. You can spend about 8 minutes doing that, and then you don't just have to stand there and look busy. It's torture to pretend to be doing something instead of just doing the hard work of doing it. So self-employed, that's the main advantage for me. Obviously, the second advantage is, y'all know about expenses? You can basically expense everything you spend if you have a business. Because that dinner we were talking about the business. So it's an expense. Oh, this table, my office. That's an expense. Every camera I've ever bought, expense. Wouldn't you want to be on the track where everything you buy lowers your income so you don't have to pay taxes? That'd be great, right? Does everybody know this? I think everybody knows this. And there are other benefits to being self-employed. You can work in different areas. Oh, I want to buy real estate. Where do I want to live? Tampa Bay, Reno, Mexico, Arkansas, Montana, Red Horses. You can live anywhere you want. And that's why so many of these millionaires live in middle class but beautiful areas. No one would know they're a millionaire. If you have a job, if you're a partner at a law firm, not only do you have to work 80 hours a week, but you can't move. You know, this book is really just about finding balance. Having wealth can give you incredible opportunities, but the real benefit is the peace and knowing that you can survive for years without income, that you could pivot, that you could take risks, you could fail multiple times and still have the comfort of knowing that your tree trunk is full of acorns for the tough winter. I really think this is describing what I meant by maximalism. Maximalism for me is minimizing costs and maximizing experience. And that's what we seek to do on this channel. That's what these videos are about. And when we go on the road and adventure with some interesting characters and make some documentaries, it's maximizing experience. But you can't do that without knowing how to minimize. Most of the luxuries and many of the so-called comforts of life are not only not indispensable, but positive hindrances to the elevation of mankind. Thoreau, just writing all the things. And let's go to Marie Kondo for the benefit of minimalism.
Hello, I'm Maria Kondo.
It's about intentionality and mindfulness, keeping only what brings joy. You know Marie Kondo?
Choose items that spark joy for you.
And let it go. Arigato.
It's possible to accumulate wealth, have freedom, and just have more mastery and control over your life through finance. And I know I don't cover finance a lot in this channel. I got a few videos, but it's important, right? It's our hunting and gathering instinct. Just to end, I'll read a quote from Benjamin Franklin, The Way of Wealth. This is like 2 pages and 1,000 font. And Benjamin Franklin was able to summarize this book. Beware of little expenses. A small leak will sink a great ship. Silks and satins, scarlets and velvets, put out the kitchen fire only, says Poor Richard. A ploughman on his legs is higher than a gentleman on his knees, says Poor Richard. Pride is allowed a beggar as want, and a great deal more saucy. When you have bought one fine thing, you must buy 10 more, and then your appearance may be all of one piece. It is easier to suppress the first desire than to satisfy all that follow it. But what madness it must be to run in debt for these superfluities. You run into debt to another power over your liberty. You will make poor, pitiable, sneaking excuses, lose your veracity, and sink into the base, downright lying. It is hard for an empty bag to stand upright. Gain may be temporary and uncertain, but ever, while you live, expense is constant and certain. Thus the old gentleman ended his harangue. The people heard it and approved the doctrine and immediately practiced the contrary. And they began to buy extravagantly again. Wow. You gotta love the way people wrote a few hundred years ago. I hope you all enjoyed this journey. I'm glad you want to be a millionaire, and I want you to be a millionaire too. Please like and subscribe. We'd love to have you. Thanks for watching. Whoops. Mom's calling. Hello.
Hello, love.
We're doing a video on the book, The Millionaire Next Door.
Oh, yeah. Be happy without feeling you have to impress everybody every single minute of your life. That's what I always wish for you.
Well, how do you think of money now that you're retired?
Sell or transfer high and rinse and repeat.
NASDAQ, S&P, and Bitcoin is my crazy one.
Who's here? Here.
What's up? Hello, Anna. Wait, don't run away, you little scoundrel. You want to be a millionaire one day?
What we are gonna look at today.
Home Alone.
Statue that looks like that.
Wait.
Oh, the Statue of Liberty looks like that.
Look at that.
Oh, that's spooky.
Favorite is? Which Home Alone you like better?
The number 1.
Who wants to be a millionaire?